Hey everyone, it's me again and welcome to Faith's Faces. If you guys are new to my channel, first of all, welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name is Faith Grenade and I make makeup videos here on YouTube. See that subscribe button? It's down there somewhere. Just hit it. Bam. Just bow. Blah, blah. I'm gonna keep this intro nice and short because this video is long. This is gonna be a kind of get ready with me type of thing. A lot more chill than my normal Faith's Faces, which are makeup tutorials. But I sat down to film today and I was like, you know what? I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I had no idea how this look was gonna turn out and I didn't want to make it a tutorial, and I was dying to use some of my new stuff because I got my Jeffree Star Cosmetics haul in the mail and I got the Beauty Killer palette. I also got one of the Skin Frost highlighters because they sold out like that, but I managed to get the most unique one in mint condition, and I wanted to use both of those things today. Just playing around with makeup. You know, this is the kind of thing I normally do off camera where I'm just testing things out, playing around with color combinations, but this palette is pretty nice so far, actually. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh my god, OMG, I'm obsessed with it, because this is the first time I've used it. But yeah, so far I'm really digging it. This is the eye look we ended up with. Really simple, a lot easier than it looks. And I ended up taking like a real alien turn with things through using the mint condition highlight. And of course, Jeffree Star on the lips as well. Scorpio on deck. I also did a lot of catching up with you guys. I did a lot of like explaining things that have been going on in my life, reasons that I might have been a little bit distracted in some videos lately. So if you want to learn how to get this look and catch up on some things with me, then just keep on watching, baby. Hey guys, okay, let's go ahead and get into this. It has been a while since I've checked in with you guys. And I feel bad that I've been super vague. Like, even Justin's been getting on my case about it. Like, you really need to let your viewers know what's going on in your life. And, you know, because all I've been saying is, oh, shit's been going on. I've been really stressed, blah, 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 whatever. But I'm not really giving you guys any details. And honestly, it's nothing personal. I'm just gonna get into this here because I am rapidly losing light. It's really nothing personal, you know, it's nothing that's meant to offend anybody. It's not that I don't trust you guys. It's just, I've always been a very private person when it comes to my struggles. Like, socially, I'm boisterous, I'm out there, I'm really, you know, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Extroverted. There it is. I'm very extroverted normally from a social standpoint, but I have a lot of stubborn Eastern European pride where if I'm going through something or if my life is really stressful or difficult, I don't really, you know, share it with many people because I don't want people to concern themselves over me, or like, you know, worry about me or anything silly like that. But you guys are important to me, and I think it's important for me to be as transparent as possible. By the way, if anybody's wondering, for one, I'll have everything I'm using in the description box, but I'm gonna try and talk through it as well. I'm gonna be using the Jeffree Star Beauty Killer palette today. Y'all, this palette's really pretty. I mean, the one thing I really do like about this is that it's not your standard like ho-hum run-of-the-mill neutral eyeshadow palette. And right now I'm just taking the shade Courtney, which is a kind of warmish transition color. It's not really gonna show up in the look that much, but it helps with blending a small bit, so I like having it. I might seem a little bit absent-minded. I might seem like, even in my delivery in my videos, I might seem like my brain is somewhere else, and that's because a lot of the time it is. So basically, the long and the short of it is a few months ago, Faye, one of my ferrets, my little girl Faye, started kind of being a little bit slow and sluggish and not really acting herself that much. And it wasn't really anything super serious at first. I almost really kind of brushed it off as, you know, she's getting older. Both of my ferrets are 5. Sorry, this is just the shade Princess. from the palette, and I'm taking it on the lid. But we took her to the vet once, and her blood sugar was low, which I was like, oh shit, you know, here we go. Here's one of the big four chronic ferret diseases, which is insulinoma. And my vet didn't seem too concerned about it at first, which actually almost bothered me. I was like, hi, could you care? Thanks. No. But I was just being a super worrywart, and I get that way sometimes. My eye is watering. But yeah, so she was like, well, we'll change your diet. And this was before we even left for the States. She was like, we'll change your diet, and then you can come back if she stays the same or gets worse. So we changed her diet around a little bit. We started feeding her some raw meat, which she loves. And things were good for a while. We went to the States. Right before we went to the States, we went back to the vet, and her blood sugar popped a lot better. And I was like, oh, okay, great. You know, we settled that for now. So I went to the States, had a fabulous time. The friend of mine who normally babysits my ferrets, she said that, you know, both of them were doing just fine, whatever. I come back home and I noticed that Faye, like one day, she came up to me like happy as a clam, just trotting up to me, and there was just drool coming all out of her mouth. Cue panic attack for me. I'm talking like dripping drool. And normally in ferrets, that's a sign of severe nausea. And it's also a symptom of insulinoma. So back to the vet we went, and because around that same time, Onyx, my bigger boy, the albino Onyx, he started being sluggish, and I was like, oh fuck, not you too. I might be getting the timeline mixed up on this just because it's all been such a whirlwind, but trying to be as approximate as I can. So back to the vet we went, and Faye popped low again. Normal blood sugar for a ferret is between 80 and 120. At her lowest, she popped a 64, which is automatic insulinoma diagnosis in the States anyway. So that sucked. And then we got Onyx tested, and his liver enzyme numbers were high, which indicated liver disease. And I was like, well, fuck. Both of my ferrets are dying at the same time. I was absolutely destroyed, you guys. I was crushed. I know you probably couldn't tell because I was, you know, uploading pre-recorded videos a lot of the time, but I was devastated. For like 2 weeks, we had both ferrets on medication because Faye got put on prednisone, which, for those of you who don't know anything about insulinoma, it's basically a pancreatic cancer that occurs very commonly in ferrets over the age of 3. And what happens is the abnormal cells on the pancreas cause it to overproduce insulin. So it's basically the reverse of diabetes. It's like backwards diabetes. Whereas with diabetes, you're not producing enough insulin. With insulinoma, you're producing too much. So the blood sugar tanks, and you really have to work to kind of bring it back up, because if the blood sugar stays tanked for too long, the animal can go into what's called hypoglycemia, which is way low blood sugar, have a seizure, go into a coma, and die. Not good times all the way around. So she has to be on prednisone for the rest of her life. She was on prednisone, and Onyx was on a cocktail of probiotics to help his liver. We went back 2 weeks later, got some blood tests done. Onyx was looking good. His numbers were back up. We were like, okay, whew, dodged a bullet. But Faye had blood nitrogen levels that were not where they were supposed to be. And blood urea nitrogen, or BUN, basically measures kidney function. And it was indicating that her kidneys were working harder than they should have been. And she was also really dehydrated. I'm gonna take the color Vanity from this palette, that really dark plum in the center top row as you're looking at it. And I'm gonna put this on the outside edge. It's actually a really easy look, come to think. But yeah, so we had to do this whole thing with her where we had to take her every 2 to 3 days for, again, another like 1 to 2 weeks, we had to take her every 2 to 3 days to a local clinic to get what's called a water shot, or a sub-Q fluids, to keep her from getting too dehydrated. So basically you take them to the clinic, and the clinic gives them like an intravenous needle, sticks it in their skin, and pumps a saline solution into their skin so they can hydrate through their skin. It's not an expensive procedure. I think it was like $27 each time we did it. But it was very, very stressful on me. It was very stressful on Faye, because it's not fun, you know? Those things are not fun experiences to go through, and I felt so bad that she had to do that. But she was a little trooper, you know, she was a fighter. She toughed it out. And then we went back again 2 weeks later. Basically throughout the entirety of March and April, we were going to the vet every 1 to 2 weeks. And our vet, Miwa Exotic Animal Clinic, for those of you wondering, amazing exotic animal vet, one of the best vets on the mainland of Japan, but it's in Tokyo. So we had to travel with them in their little stroller. We had to travel an hour and 20 minutes out and an hour and 20 minutes back every time we took them to the vet, which was every 1 to 2 weeks for approximately 2.5 months. It was rough. But yeah, we took her back again, and we got her blood tested, and her BUN levels, her blood urea nitrogen, was back down. And we were like, whew, okay, cool. So we're feeling good, everything's fine, and the blood sugar is looking great. The blood sugar was like almost within normal limits. She was handling it well. She was showing no symptoms of insulinoma at all. So we were feeling good. And so our vet gave us the go-ahead to see her once a month instead of once every 2 weeks. And that was great. That was really like one of the best days of the last couple months for me, because Faye was doing good again, and we could finally I could give her a normal life. Because I mean, insulinoma, you have to be real with yourself. It's not the kind of thing that gets cured. There is no cure for insulinoma. You can treat it with medication, but basically from the moment your ferret starts prednisone, a lot of the time in the States, they'll say you have about a year before they succumb to the disease. But we're determined to give her the best life humanly possible. So we brought her back home, and it was finally a few weeks of total normalcy for the first time in a long time. And, you know, there was none of this anxiety. There was none of this like, you know, being super stressed out about her health and about having to go to the vet all the time. And I could tell, was kind of relieved about it too, because, you know, those vet trips are very, very stressful on the kids, because we have to go through public transportation. So we have to take the train, and it's just stressful all the way around. It's not a very fun experience a lot of the time, although the ferrets do make the most of it in their own special way. But I'm just winging the shadow out a little bit. And everything was good for a couple weeks, and then Faye stopped coming down the stairs. And she normally can come down the stairs all by herself perfectly fine, but she stopped doing that. And she would come down, but she kept having to take breaks. And one of the signs of insulinoma that you have to look out for is hind end weakness. So, you know, not being able to get some oomph with their back legs as much. So back to the vet we went like 2.5 weeks later, and got the blood test done. I was convinced. I was preparing myself for the worst, and her blood test was fine. Her sugar had gone down a small bit, but it wasn't like tanking. So the vet was not super concerned about it, but another kidney percentage, which is the creatine level, was a little high. Not necessarily high enough for her to be worried about it, but high enough to kind of make a note of. So she was just like, you know, just keep an eye on her, you know, keep her happy if it gets worse, or, you know, anything like that, just come back. I'm just rocking this same color on the lower lash line. But yeah, So that's where we were at. We brought her back home. Everything else was pretty uneventful from there. She'd have some digestive issues, you know, some lethargy. She'll sleep a lot. But for the most part, she was doing pretty good. And we just took her back a couple of weeks ago to do, because with insulinoma, you have to do regular blood tests to check for glucose abnormalities. So to basically see, like, you know, has the glucose, you know, dropped way low again, indicating that the prednisone dosage she's on is no longer working and we have to give her a higher dose. Things like that. So you have to go back once a month and get this blood test done. And we went back a couple weeks ago, and her blood sugar again was a little bit lower than it was the time before, but not enough of a drastic change for them to be super worried about it, you know? So they gave her the go-ahead. They gave us another month of medication and sent us on our way. And, you know, lately things have been pretty good. Today, she's been a little bit off. I can't quite place what's going on, but I've been seeing some poo abnormalities, because if you know anybody who is a ferret parent, you will know we are obsessed with poo. We are obsessed with our ferrets' poo because ferrets communicate their health through their feces. And a lot of the first indicators of major diseases happen by looking at their poop. So I obsess over poop. Sorry about it. But I was seeing some abnormalities in her feces in the form of, it was, instead of being its normal color, it was like dark forest green the past couple times. And it's been kind of sporadic, like it hasn't been consistently dark green, but that is something to be concerned about because, you know, again, it's another sign of kidney failure, kidney disease. Which is usually the terminal illness that results from insulinoma. So the ferret usually doesn't end up succumbing to the disease itself. They end up succumbing to the organ consequences of the disease, mostly kidney failure. But that's where we're at. She's been having a few little poo abnormalities, and she was kind of sniffling a lot today. I'm not sure if like she got some dust up her nose or something, but she's been like sniffing and swallowing her spit a little bit today. But I've been, you know, she's just been very high maintenance because, you know, 99.9% of insulinoma care is all diet. You know, you really have to keep them on a very good high protein diet. She has to eat small meals every 3 to 5 hours, which is basically like 4 times a day. I have to give her a little meal. Usually it's chicken baby food, which is pretty much the most adorable thing on the planet because she loves it. She loves chicken baby food. It's like her favorite thing in the whole wide world. But yeah, that's basically what's been going on. So when I say I'm stressed out, when I say I'm going through some shit, that's what I was talking about, is mostly all the shit with Faye. And it's just been, like, you know, I wouldn't change it for anything because my ferrets are my entire world. They're so amazing. They're such adorable little animals. And they really do have a profound impact on my mental health. They can squash my anxiety like nothing else. But, you know, this is the thing that happens when you adopt pets. You inevitably end up, you know, they get older and they develop these health issues, but I am behind her 110%. I know that eventually this disease will claim her, but as long as she's got a good quality of life and has a fighting spirit, then we're gonna, you know, keep on keeping on, and we're gonna keep working to, you know, give her a really good quality of life. But it was just very touch and go for a long time, and I was dealing with a lot of that. And of course, you know, having issues with anxiety the way I do, this is the kind of thing that really piques my anxiety or causes it to get really bad, is when there's something in my life that I have very little control over. It really gets my goat. Like, it bothers me. But she's doing very well. She sends, you know, mini dukes and nose boops to everybody. She's just been a little tired lately, and that's kind of par for the course. There's not a whole lot you can do about that, but even still, she's got a good amount of energy a lot of the time, and she's a very happy little girl. So far, so good. But it's just the nature of the beast, you know. You have a pet, pets get old. When pets get old, pets get sick, and you have to be there for them. So I figured I would tell that story, not only to fill you guys in on what's been going on with me in my personal life, and why my videos might have been a little bit distracted lately, but I also wanted to educate people about insulinoma, what it is, how to find the signs in your ferret, how to know when it's time to take them to the vet and get them checked out, and things like that. So basically, when it comes to insulinoma, what you are looking for, like the first signs, it's part of what makes this disease such a motherfucker. The initial signs of insulinoma are very, very vague and hard to notice. It starts off usually with a phenomena called staring into space, where a ferret who is normally like go, 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 you know, ferrets are nuts. Like they will normally just go, 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 all this energy, blah, 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 whatever. And then it'll happen where all of a sudden they'll just stop and kind of stare blankly into space for a second and then keep going. It's that subtle. Like, I mean, seconds of them staring into space at first. But one of the first symptoms of hypoglycemia or blood sugar regulation issues is confusion. And that's in humans too. Like when a human goes into kidney failure, one of the first things that happens is they start getting really confused. And that's basically what that is it's just a ferret being confused. So that's the first sign to look out for, is just staring into space. Other signs and symptoms include lethargy, excessive salivation, the way Faye was displaying a while back, pawing at the mouth, just like a lot of mouth-related behavior, licking the air, just like a lot, all the time. That's another sign. And really, honestly, early detection is key, and the easiest way to get early detection is to, as soon as your ferret turns 3, every year, bring them into the vet, have them have a blood panel done. Because the easiest way to catch this thing as early as possible is to catch it before the ferret even shows symptoms. So keep those blood tests happening basically from the minute they turn 3 years old, because that's when the risk elevates of them developing these kinds of conditions. So after the ferret turns 3, just make it a part of your annual vet visit, you know, get their blood sugar checked. If they pop low, get it checked again a little ways on, and then go from there with your vet's guidance. But one of the things I want to communicate to people is the ways in which you can prevent the onset of insulinoma. And basically the way you can do that is through diet. Your ferrets are obligate carnivores. You know, they have to have a very protein and fat rich diet. That princess shade, this lavender shimmery one, it is beautiful. Do not get it in your eye, because holy shit, I don't know if I'm allergic to it or what happened there, but I got it in my eye on this eye. It was just like a little fallout. I was like, oh, okay, whatever, no big deal. No, that shit burned when it got in my eye, so don't do that. Try to avoid getting it in your eyeball. But yeah, one of the main things is your ferret has to have a diet that is high in protein, high in fat, with no grain at all, because ferret stomachs, their digestive systems are very fast. You know, it basically goes from in one end to out the other in probably about 45 minutes. So they really don't have the stomach equipment to digest and process those complicated kind of carbohydrates. They're not meant to eat fruit or vegetables, so don't give them any raisins, anything like that. They are not a rodent. They are a small mammal and they are an obligate carnivore, so they have to eat meat. For the first 3 or 4 years that I was a ferret parent, I was giving my ferrets these treats from Marshall. Marshall is one of the largest ferret breeders in North America, and in the world, really. And they're very irresponsible with their breeding practices. Basically, if you get a ferret from Petco, it came from Marshall, or any pet store for that matter, because they are very prolific in their ferret breeding. But I'm just winging this eyeshadow out. And we were feeding them these treats from Marshall's that they absolutely loved. But these treats, I'm convinced, are what gave Faye insulinoma, because they are terrible nutritionally for the animal. They've got grain in them. They've got all kinds of nasty shit that ferrets really aren't meant to eat. I'm just going to take a touch of China White and blend up near the brow. But yeah, so don't use those. I know they're sold in the pet store and it's going to be very tempting because you're not going to feel like, you know, dealing with making raw ferret treats and things like that. But guys, you know, that is what exacerbated my ferret's insulinoma, was those treats. And I completely blame myself for that, because I didn't, you know, I trusted Marshall too much. I didn't know any better. They had a good kibble, but the treats were a huge issue. So keep everything that goes into those little sweethearts' bellies high in protein, high in fat, no starch, no grains if you can help it. With kibble, that's tough, but our kids eat Evo cat and kitten food, which seems to work really well. I'm gonna take my little Friendly Neighborhood Cotton Bud. I love these ones. I got them out in country. They're like black. I love them. Makes me feel so gothy. And I'm just gonna take this Bioderma stuff. I'm testing it out because I've heard a lot of really, really great things about it. And I wanna see what all the fuss is about. Because anytime I see something that's like uber hyped, I'm like, all right, I wanna check this out and see if it works. So far, it's, you know, I mean, it's your standard makeup remover. I don't really I guess I don't see the appeal. I don't see what makes it so much better than all of the other makeup removers in the world, but it gets the job done. I do like that it doesn't leave like a greasy residue behind, so if I use it to correct winged liner or winged eyeshadow and stuff like that, it doesn't give me any issues with that. I'm just doing a little more blending, especially when you're doing these kinds of 2 to 3 shadow looks that are not using a whole lot of different colors. Blending is really key to making them look nice. For those of you who've been showing concern for me and for my kids, thank you so much. For those of you who've been connecting with me on Facebook and stuff, I appreciate all of your love. I feel the love. I feel the support. It is priceless to me. And don't worry, you know, I will be okay regardless of what ends up happening with Faye and with everything else that's been going on in my life. I'll be all right, you know, I will keep the videos coming as much as I can. You'll just probably have to forgive me sometimes when I stumble or if I get distracted or if I seem a little bit off in some of my videos. Don't worry, it's not a permanent thing, it's just a thing that I have to get through. Speaking of which, what else is new? I got this new Jeffree Star Beauty Killer palette. Man, that release though, that release was fucking insane. I'm just gonna put on some mascara and try to talk at the same time. Good luck me. This is Supersizer, the usual. But that release for the eyeshadow palette and the Skin Frost highlighters was bonkers. Like, that was one of the most insane releases I think I've ever done. I went, so it released at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is about 2 in the morning here. So I was on the website there waiting at like 1:58. And I kept refreshing the page to see if I could gain access to them early or anything like that. Nothing. So waited it out, kept refreshing. 2 a.m. hit, or 3 a.m. or whatever time it was. The release time hit. I got all the stuff in my cart. I got the bundle and I got the palette and I was so excited and I was like, okay, cool. All my information was already saved in the site and I hit the send button and it said, oh, some of the items in your cart are sold out. The bundle of the highlighters was sold out. That fucker sold out before 2 turned into 2:01. It sold out in like 20 seconds. I'm not kidding. It was insane. I kept refreshing and kept like trying again because I was just in total denial. I couldn't believe it. I'm just taking a black eyeliner pencil and hitting this waterline here. But yeah, I could not believe that went that fast. I was like, it has to be the website crashed or something. Tight lining a little bit over here. I was crushed, of course, because I was looking so forward to getting all of the highlighters and all of, I'm just using some Ardell 120 Demis. You guys know the drill, you know, same old, same old. But yeah, I was so looking forward to getting all the skin frosts and swatching them for you guys. I was gonna do this big video where I was gonna do cheek swatches of all of them and it was gonna be great, but I couldn't get them all. I got the eyeshadow palette, thank God, and the only skin frost I managed to get. Little rant for a second. Normally, I am a die-hard Revlon precision lash adhesive girl. I've used it for years, literally years, like my entire makeup applicating life. I use it to put on my pasties for burlesque. Like, I trust this stuff with my life. It is so good. It is so sticky. It dries super quick, so you don't have to sit there and wait for it to get tacky, but I think they changed the formula because I bought this new one at Coty not too long ago, and I feel like it doesn't stick as quickly or as well. It could just be my lashes aren't like bent enough maybe, but I don't know, man. It's just every time I've tried to put on lashes with this, it's just not sticking the way it usually does. And it's so sad because I really hope they didn't change the formula. I will be pissed. It was just so nice to be able to have like a drugstore eyelash glue that just worked, you know, that was no muss, no fuss. I didn't have to spend forever and a day waiting for it to get tacky because that's just not my style. I didn't have to fuck with it a shit ton to get it to work. I baked, by the way. That's why I'm like doing the most up in here. So we just gonna dust off that bake. Get this skin back to looking like skin again. And of course I had a huge cyst on my face. You've probably seen it in a few recent videos. It was the first cyst I'd gotten in ages, but it was just red and painful, and I finally extracted it. I know I'm not supposed to, guys. I know I'm not supposed to, but it gets to a point. Where's my contour palette? Sorry, I'm back. But yeah, it just gets to a point where you like the zit is just so painful that you're just like, it has to go. Like, you know, it drives you insane, and it drives you insane to the point where you're like, if I don't pop this right now, I am going to be miserable. It's probably gonna leave a scar now, but hey, that's what I get, right? But I popped it and now there's a big fat mark there, but there's also some crusty bits around that mark. But luckily, I was actually quite pleasantly surprised because I'm wearing my Spackle foundation, but I thought for sure, because this foundation is so full coverage and so thick, I thought for sure that this zit crusty bit would be so unbelievably prominent. I'm going a little ham with the contour today because why the fuck not? But I thought for sure this is it. With how much dry skin was all around it, I thought for sure it was gonna look terrible with this fucking foundation, but this foundation, guys, it's just, I want to make a full video devoted to how much I love this foundation, but I feel like it would just be redundant because every time I use it, I talk about how absolutely fucking amazing it is. It, like, I can get all up in your grill and you see a little bit of crustiness around the outside, but it's not nearly as bad as even some of the medium coverage foundations I own. My big thing with, like, why I would never be able to go vegan is fucking dairy. Like, oh, it's terrible. I know cow dairy is, like, so super bad for you, but I don't even care. I love cheese so much. And before you go talking to me about that Dio vegan cheese bullshit, it's not the same. It's not the same at all. You can try and make it seem like it's the same, but it's not. Vegan cheese is not cheese. It will never be cheese. I don't know, it was one of those things where, like, I'll eat vegan food if it's tasty. Some of it isn't, but I will definitely eat vegan food if it's delicious. Like, I'm down for anything delicious. I just love food, I think. Do you guys love food? I love food. Of course you love food. But my big thing is I like vegan food that doesn't pretend it's not vegan. You know what I mean? Like, those kind of fake chicken, like tofurkey type bullshitty stuff. Like, no, why? No, you don't need to do that. You know, stop trying to pretend you're something you're not. Because anytime I've had a vegan food item that pretends to be a non-vegan food item, it's not the same, and it's usually fucking nasty, you know? Give me vegan food that's proud to be vegan, and not, you know, it totally tastes like chicken, because guess what, bitch? It fucking don't. I'm talking way too much. But, anyhow, what next? Now I have to put on highlights, so this is the big moment for me, because I haven't tried this on my face yet. I've only swatched it. This is Jeffree Star's Skin Frost in mint condition. It's mint green. But from what I hear, I'm just gonna take a little swipe of it with this e.l.f. small tapered brush, one of my favorite brushes in the world. From what I hear, this stuff, when you shear it out, actually looks like silver almost. And a lot of people haven't been digging that. Like, they almost want it to be mint green. Like, if it's gonna be mint green, you know, make it look mint green. Oh, do you guys see that? What? All right, so I definitely see the green. I definitely see the green. Almost too much. I was actually hoping it would shear out to be like a nice little silver, but no, it's green. It's not in a bad way. I mean, I'm kind of almost glad that it's green because that's what it said it was going to be. I just feel bad because it doesn't look as good with this look as it would if it were like a silver or a white, but you know, we live and we learn. I'm going to keep playing around with this one because I feel like it's got a lot of potential for a lot of fun that can happen. I can't wait for the lavender one to come out. Like, sweet Jesus. I mean, this look is all purpley. That lavender would just be it. It would be everything, as the YouTubers say. I really don't like using those kinds of vernacular, but, you know, it's what the kids like, right? It's what the kids are into. There you go. That's what mint condition looks like. Really pretty. It's a lot prettier than I was expecting it to be. Like, at first I was like, whoa, it's green. I don't know about this, but the more I'm looking at it, even with this look, which is all purple, it kind of works. Ooh, hi. You see that? That actually looks really cool. I like that a lot. I'm really glad I did that. I just took the mint condition highlighter and I put it on my lips. This is Jeffree Star Scorpio, by the way, in case you were wondering what loveliness is on my lips right now. That's cool. I almost wonder if I put it in the inner corner, would that totally wreck things? Just taking this e.l.f. small smudge brush. I love this for lips. It's one of my favorite lip brushes, but it's also one of my favorite inner corner brushes. That's actually kind of beautiful. It's not super intense, because this thing is pretty chunky and sometimes the chunks don't. Woo! Woo! Do what? What? Wow, I'm really glad I did that. This reminds me of Sugar Pill Lumi, but with a little bit more of like a greeny tinge to it. Jeffree was dead on. Mint condition in the inner corner. Holy shit, that looks pretty. You see that? Like, how pretty is that? Oh my god. That is gorgeous. I'm not sure how I feel about it on the Cupid's bow, but on the lips and the inner corners and shit, like, ooh, I'm feeling this. My lipstick that I'm wearing is Jeffree Star Scorpio. This is one of his newer shades that he released, not this past release, but the lipstick release before that. This is the first time I'm wearing it. It makes my teeth look yellow as fuck, but I love it. It's such a beautiful color and it goes perfectly with this eye look. It makes it all nice and monochromatic and sexy, just the way I like it. I love monochromatic looks. It's like my favorite. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's all I've got, I think, for right now. I am gonna set this with some NYX Dewy Finish Setting Spray because it's hot as balls outside today. There you go. This is the finished look that I came up with. Let's go ahead and do some awkward posing. Awkward posing. Looking down. Looking forward. Looking fierce. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just getting ready with me, very laid back, very chill, and learning about what's been going on in my life. Rest assured, everything is doing okay right now. It's just things were a little touch and go there for a second, and they probably will be touch and go at some point in the future. But for now, things are good and I'm taking advantage of the normal as long as I have it. So thank you guys so much for your kindness and understanding. And if you sat through this entire video, mad props to you. Give yourself a pat on the back. You earned mad internet points today because this is gonna be long. I wanna thank you guys so much for joining me today and for being super patient and understanding with me during my times of craziness. If you did find this video entertaining or helpful, or learn something about how mint condition looks on skin, there's a button for that. Spank that like button in the butt. You know it deserves it. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe and become a member of the faithful today. I put out new videos every Sunday, sometimes Monday if I forget because time zones. Thank you guys so much for watching and joining me today, and I will see you in the next video.